Salute, Nick family. Welcome to Dope Soul Sports Talk, a member of the NBK Network. I apologize for being late. My flight leaves tomorrow. I had some last second things to do, but I definitely wanted to get on and chomp it up with you guys before I leave. Next week's show, instead of being Tuesday at 9 p.m., will be Thursday, September 1st at 9 p.m. I get back next Wednesday night. So we'll go on Thursday, 9 o'clock. Listen, we were going to talk about Nick rumors. We were going to talk about the reported Donovan Mitchell trade, at least the latest one that included Obi. Talk a little bit about some in the front office. Tibbs, it seems like, would prefer to include Grimes in the trade. Excuse me, Barrett in the trade over Grimes. It's hard for me to believe that. We're going to talk a little bit. It was supposed to be the Randle show, but a lot of rumors have dropped. So we definitely want to get into that. And just before I got on, Ian Begley, who's a reputable source from SNY, reports that there are some in the Knicks front office that are open to trading RJ Barrett. So we're going to actually lead with that. Then we'll get into the other stuff. I appreciate you rocking with us. I am Jarrell is with me today. How are you?
I'm good, Steph. Thank you for having me again. Salute to the chat.
Yeah, definitely. Salute to the chat. We got a lot. We got a lot to unpack today. So
yeah,
I didn't even get a chance to. So let me read it for those who haven't heard the reports, and we'll start with this. This is the latest. I think it dropped around 8:30 or something like that. So Ian Begley from SNY said last month, people in touch with the Knicks were under the impression that the club had no interest in trading RJ Barrett. That stance has shifted. Some decision makers with the Knicks are now open to including Barrett in a deal with the Jazz for Donovan Mitchell. What's your initial thoughts on that? And why do you think the stance has shifted for some in the Knicks front office?
I think maybe it shifted maybe just because of time and they don't think it's actually going to happen. Okay. So they want Donovan Mitchell so bad that they think RJ will be like the final piece to actually make it happen. I don't necessarily believe that. At least I don't want to believe it because I want to keep RJ. Mm-hmm. But I actually think maybe because people are just scared the deal is not going to be done.
So you think some in the front office is scared the deal won't get done. And so at this point, they would rather include RJ Barrett than not have a deal.
Right, exactly. Because to be honest, to me, it really doesn't make sense. Like it seemed like you would want to pair RJ with somebody like Donovan Mitchell for the future. I don't see why we should trade him for Donovan Mitchell. Like, what's the package going to be then? Like, to me, if RJ is in the deal, then those draft picks have to go down.
I would think so.
Right. It's no longer 2 or 3. They might just get 2, maybe.
Right. Definitely. I'm sweating. I was running around today trying to get this last minute stuff done. This is what I will say about it. Again, I want to reiterate it that it's some in the front office. We don't know who in the front office it is that's interested in this. The only thing I could think about, and we've talked about this on Nothing But Knicks, the show Sim did yesterday. The only thing I could think about is there are some in the organization who are thinking about the money they're going to have to pay RJ Barrett compared to the role he's going to have on the team if you land Donovan Mitchell. So if you, and I think a lot of it also is that they don't really know who RJ Barrett is right now. So if you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that RJ is going to be the number 2 behind Donovan Mitchell, you pay that money. Exactly. You know what I mean? But I think, it could be that some of them don't know who RJ is going to be. Is he going to be the number 2? Is he going to be the number 3? Is he going to be the number 4? Right. If he's going to be the number 3 or the number 4, are you paying 27 to 36 million for somebody who's going to be your 3rd best player or your 4th best player? And I think that's the conversation the front office is having. And I think probably some of them are saying, you know what? I don't mind putting them in. I think he's going to be a 3rd or 4th option. We can't pay that much money for a 3rd or 4th option. we can get somebody with similar production at less money. That's the only thing I can think about why they would want to include RJ Barrett in the trade. It's just salary cap, contract considerations compared to his role. So yeah, any thoughts on that, or do you feel like regardless of, because we're going to be over the cap anyway,
Right.
do you feel like regardless of the money, regardless of what role he has, we should keep him no matter what?
I don't want to say no matter what, especially when it comes to the money. I'm not one of those people that actually think RJ should get a max, especially when it comes. At least not yet. I don't know, man. That's a very tough question. Like, I really want RJ here. So as long as, I don't know, we just got to make it work. Like, I actually want Donovan Mitchell here really, really bad too. But if it takes RJ going into the deal, that I don't know if I'd do it. Like, I'd really be hard pressed to do that. That's hard, man. That's tough.
Well, I would like RJ to stay as well for the right price, because I feel like, even though I personally don't see him as a superstar, I see him as that glue guy. And when I say glue guy, I don't mean bottom of the rung role player. I'm talking about that 18 points a game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists guy who's going to he's a willing defender, I should say. Then he's also going to he's going to lead for you. He's going to do multiple, he's going to do multiple things for you. So you need that type of player on a championship team. And I think RJ Barrett can be that, even if he's not a star. But again, it comes down to the money. How much money are you willing to pay for somebody in that role? And I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's tough, man. Like, RJ would definitely have to step his game up when it comes to that. Like, I agree with you. Like, that's tough. Especially because, like you said, by our calculations, he's probably going to be making more than Donovan Mitchell when Donovan Mitchell gets here. So that's a tough pill to swallow, man. That might be a problem for Donovan. I don't know.
Right. And then the last thing I'll say before we bring Josh on is, I don't know if it's a deal breaker for me including RJ Barrett in the trade. And this is why. RJ Barrett potentially, to me, Donovan Mitchell is better than RJ Barrett right now.
Of course.
We hope RJ Barrett becomes what Donovan Mitchell already is. You understand what I'm saying? So it's going to be hard for me to say I'm not trading or putting RJ Barrett in a trade for Donovan Mitchell when Donovan Mitchell is better. He's been in the league 5 years. He's made 3 All-Star teams in the Western Conference in his 3 years. RJ has yet to make 1. I'm not saying, is there a chance he can be better than Donovan Mitchell? Yes. But I got something right in front of my face that's telling me the type of player this guy is, and he's not even in his prime. It would be very hard for me to say I'm not trading RJ Barrett for Donovan Mitchell. Somebody somebody who made up this term emotional anchor. Was it Freezy? Like, a lot of Knicks fans are walking around with this emotional anchor, and then they can't really see. We're in a better place if we have if we have Donovan instead of RJ. We still got work to do, no matter what. We still got work to do. So let's see. I'm gonna let Josh in, get his point of view, and then I'm gonna go to the chat and see what the chat is saying. And I'm gonna drop the link and see if some people in the chat want to, hop on and give their take. And is RJ staying because he's a Knick and he's homegrown, or is RJ staying because of talent? You know what I mean? We gonna
right. Because honestly, I'm actually one of those people that actually take pride in not falling in love with players. Like, I usually don't do that. So maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a little soft on RJ, man. That's crazy.
But that's okay though. It's all right. That's all right. But you got me
I
to
don't
balance
like that.
you out. Balance you out. All right. Let's add Josh and Stafford to the stream. Hello, fellas. How are you?
I'm good. What's up, Josh, Jarrell, Queen, as usual. Shout out to the chat. Let's get it in.
All right, so we're talking about the report that just came on right before I started the show by Ian Begley, SNY, that some, and we got to put the emphasis on some in the Knicks would not be opposed to including RJ in the trade for Donovan Mitchell. We don't know who those parties are, but just I'll start with Jocelyn and you, Staf. What's your initial thoughts on that report?
Well, good evening, Queen. Jarrell, Staffer, always a pleasure to be here, Queen. I'm in the presence of royalty. I just must say that Queen hasn't stayed down. She's running it. She's running it well. Good evening to everyone. Let me just start off by saying, and I wanted to get on the show yesterday, but I was out and about the MBK show. AD had a great phone call. I didn't agree with everything he said about RJ playing the 3 and the 2 because I like they're kind of interchangeable the way the Knicks run their offense. But I'll start off by saying this. The Knicks are one of the few organizations that have this by-committee approach in the front office, meaning you have Leon Rose, who runs the basketball operations, right? But then you also have William Wesley there, who's the executive vice president, and then you have Scott Perry, who's a general manager, and so on and so forth. They have this by-committee approach. Yeah, the final decision comes to Leon Rose, but there's multiple people within the Knicks organization that have a voice and that can go to James Dolan and say what they want, right? That's normally not how, like in the NBA, how other teams run their front office. Typically, your president of basketball operations or your vice president of basketball operations is the general manager. It's all one position. It's only one person that's making those decisions. They'll have some feedback from other people, but their final decision comes down to them. So that's number one. So when I heard the report that the Knicks, some people in the Knicks organization feel that way, it surprised me. The Knicks, like the front office is not completely going to be in lockstep about everything because they have so many people putting that stuff out there. And like you said, Queen, yesterday, they have to be having this conversation. They have to be having this conversation. And I think AD brought up a great point yesterday on the MBK show. For those who didn't see it, please go check that out. Where is RJ going to fit in this offense? Let's say you bring Donovan Mitchell. You don't give up RJ. You give up Obi or someone else, right? Now you're talking about RJ, Randle, Brunson, and Mitchell. RJ's not going to have the ball in his hands a lot. He's just not. So you're talking about paying him $36 million a season, which is a max contract for someone who's not going to have the ball in his hands. And all these guys are in the contract for the next 3 to 4 years, right? So you're talking about the Knicks being in luxury tax territory. After they bring in Mitchell, let's say RJ doesn't go on the trade, they're in luxury tax territory. We really don't have any room to get better and improve the team. We don't. Trades are going to have to be made. I think, it's possible that trades are going to be made, but that's what you got. That luxury tax team is a team that you're rocking with over the next 2 to 3 years. So I think it makes sense for the Knicks to at least consider putting RJ Barrett in this trade for Donovan Mitchell. I never liked the fit between RJ and Randle from the get-go. I just don't like the fit between those two guys. If we were talking about getting rid of Randle in this trade, I would be all for it. So it's not just me like pushing RJ out the door, but the Utah Jazz don't want Randle because of his contract. His contract is so long, and they're probably going to want someone younger. So that's why I think it makes sense for them to at least be considering RJ and for the Knicks to be considering moving RJ upon this Donovan Mitchell trade.
Yeah. Staffer, and then the bowling chick. Your thoughts on Staffer? Did you hear the report?
I know. I'm just hearing it right now.
It just came out like maybe 8:30, 8:20, something like that. But, just basically Ian Begley, reputable source, SNY, reporting that some in the Knicks organization are open to including him in the trade. Not that they ultimately will, but they're open to it. And just your thoughts on that.
Well, that's just to tell you, everybody is on the trading block. Nobody is untouchable, not even even RJ. I'm sorry to say. Look, I mean, the reason why I say that, Josh, because that's to RJ is special to some Knicks fans, and some Knicks fans will probably probably stone down Madison Square Garden if RJ was to get traded. But
the chick will be leading the way.
Yep.
We'll
With
give
rocks in her hands.
But at the same time, it's 4 ball dominant players. So I understand where Josh is coming from. You know what I mean? It's going to be very like clunky. You know, how RJ is going to get the ball. You know what I mean? How he's going to even develop more. So at the end of the day, for me, Queen, it's the name on the front, not on the name on the back. And if RJ got to go in that trade for us to get better, so be it. But if we got to sign him, not for a max deal, and he's a piece to the puzzle, I'm all for it.
Okay, I got a salary cap question for Josh, but I'm gonna let the bowling chick just give her initial thoughts on that rumor or report.
So I didn't know that happened today.
I just the text.
You just blindsided me.
I just got the text before I came on the air.
I mean, I might not have made it on the air if I had known this. Is that why I was late? It's not why I was late. Anyway, wow. Some people in the building are willing to trade the kid. It would bother me, but I mean, to Staf's point, I mean, it definitely is about the name on the front, not the name on the back. That's definitely true. It would just suck to have one of our players that we thought was a franchise guy go in a trade, just straight like that. I don't think he's better than Donovan Mitchell. Even I can admit that. So if it makes the team better, it makes the team better. But it would suck to have someone like that leave. I don't really have much else enlightening to say because I'm so baffled by it. I wonder about the credibility of the rumors. I mean,
Ian
to me,
Beckley,
each team, true.
Right? I mean, he's pretty reputable as far as I know, right?
As far as New York media, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and Berman even had a report, Monday, saying along the lines of that Tibbs prefers Grimes to RJ. I mean,
yeah, we're gonna get it.
I mean, there's smoke. Right. So I'm just saying that there's smoke to this. Whether there's fire or not, we'll eventually end up seeing it. But yeah, I mean, being honest and truly transparent, it would suck. But just for that moment, it's like ripping off a Band-Aid. The Knicks get better at the end of the day if we trade RJ, but we gotta adjust that deal then. It can't be RJ and Grimes and Obi and quickly. That's not gonna. I will be there with the pitchforks and and whatever else I need to bring to MSG.
Stop the steal.
The question I have for you, Josh, is we're over the salary cap anyway, right? Yeah. So if you have Donovan Mitchell as opposed to RJ Barrett, isn't it more of a luxury tax situation in terms of the tax bill Dolan has to pay? I mean, I think in terms of building a team, it's the same way. You got to do it through a trade, whether, yeah. So there's go ahead. I'm wondering, is there an advantage to having both of them over having Donovan versus RJ Barrett?
So regardless, the Knicks are not going to be able to attract anybody via free agency because they're over the soft salary cap. So they're not. Free agency is at this point out the question whether we get Donovan Mitchell or we don't get, right? So everything is going to have to happen via trade. Because right now we're doing a trade for Donovan Mitchell, the salaries have to match. The Knicks salary cap won't go up, but so much because if they get rid of less money, right? Their salary cap is going to increase by a little bit. Let's say $6 million or whatever. Even by that number, the Knicks still won't be able to luxury tax. They still won't be able over that luxury tax threshold. So they'll be in a pretty sweet spot from a financial standpoint. But let's say we get Donovan Mitchell, we keep RJ Barrett. Next season, when we have to pay RJ Barrett whatever contract he's looking for, that will put us over the luxury tax, which then puts more constraints on what the organization can do from a trading perspective. Now, they still could trade people. They still could trade Randle. That could possibly happen. And that's something that we definitely should keep an eye on if RJ Barrett does not go on the trade. Because I think if you have those 4 people making the highest money on your team, this team is not going to be contenders, right? Ideally, you want to have a luxury tax team that is going to be at least contending for something. But half the league was over the luxury tax last year. So I just We have to see. We have to see.
What's the difference between, in terms of how you can add to your team, if you're over the soft cap but not into the luxury tax versus being in the luxury tax? What's the difference in terms of how you can improve your team?
There's no difference. The only difference will come is if the Knicks hit that hard salary cap number, then some of their exceptions get taken away and things of that nature. But there technically isn't a difference in how the Knicks can be able to make trades if they are over the luxury tax or if they're over the soft salary cap. They just can't add any free agents. But there's no difference in how players can move and stuff like that. Exceptions.
It's just a money issue in terms of the tax bill for Dolan. I mean, the other downside though is if you're paying somebody and they don't match the salary, it may be hard to move them.
Correct, and that's the other part, and that's the reason why we have to. That conversation needs to be had in regards to RJ if you're really going to pay him this money. Because what you don't want to do, let's say you want to give RJ, you want to see what his potential can become, so you want to give him a max contract. If it doesn't work out, now you got an albatross on your hands. It's going to be hard for you to move that contract. That's going to be 5 years long, right? So not only is it a lot of money as far as annual salary, but it's a lot of years attached to it, and no team is going to really want that, or not many teams will want that type of player. Right.
Or you have to attach an asset to it if you want to move them. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what the fans are saying. Keith Turner, I won't lose no sleep trading anybody on this team. Appreciate you, Keith Turner. Almighty Finesse. Okay. Rayology, emotional damage, but I think earlier he said he would not trade RJ under any circumstance. Did I get that right, Rayology? I can't find that. King Pappy, New York K said, "Don't cry, Rayology. Don't cry." Once we start winning, you will get over it, Keith Turner. But still Knicks fans, Freeman 48. Jarrell, of course, Geraldine MacGyver, Harlem Girl. Appreciate all of y'all for rocking with us tonight. Any other thoughts about RJ Barrett potentially being included in the trade before we move on to other Knick rumors? Well, let me ask this question. Mm-hmm. Is there a better path forward with Donovan on the team and not RJ in terms of building a contender? Because Josh brought up a good point. You're going to have 4 players making over $100 million. You're going to be, I would think RJ is going to make over $100 million. Yeah. You're going to be in a luxury cap, paying money, and other teams do it. Other teams do it. And you're not a championship team. Is it a better path forward to the Knicks being a contender with RJ off the team and being able to find someone else or Randle?
Queen, I think if we were talking about getting rid of Randle, this wouldn't even be a conversation. For me, it comes down to the fact that RJ and Randle are just not a good fit together. That's really what it comes down to. RJ and Randle not being a good fit together. And I think the only reason Randle's not being moved in this trade right now is because Utah doesn't want to take on that contract because they're in a rebuilding stage, right? They might be telling themselves, okay, I'll take on RJ because, even if we do have to pay him, he's a young player, 21 years old, that we can at least build around, or at least attempt to build around, because they're starting from the beginning. So if this Randle's contract wasn't involved in this whole thing, we wouldn't even be talking about this. RJ will play the 3, Mitchell will play the 2. Isn't enough ball to go around. And the Knicks can be able to have that team. And I think that team will be a little bit more balanced than having Randle and RJ on the roster at the same time. The way forward for me personally, if we get rid of RJ Barrett, you'll have Mitchell playing the 2. I think Fournier will probably go on that trade as well just to make the money work. I'll have Fournier playing Mitchell playing the 2. You either slide Cam at that 3 position. Probably look to put Grimes somewhere in the fold or in the mix somewhere, and then rock out like that. And then you have Randle at the 4 and Mitchell at the 5. I think that's the way forward, at least initially. And then next season after that, we look to make more trades.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is Randle was under a very reasonable contract, $23 million. Which now, when you think about what Donovan Mitchell is making, what RJ might make, that's seems like hardly anything, compared to those other guys. I mean, between RJ and Randle, between those two, we need some shooting on this team. People, and I don't be like people that can actually make a bucket. You know what I mean? To kind of, not everybody, just because you can make a 3-point shot doesn't make you a shooter, right? Like we need shooters at least a stretch 4 or a 3 that can hit. And both of those guys make their money below the 3-point line. And for RJ, below the free throw, before the free throw line. But anyway, let's talk about, Obi Toppin. This is a tough show. RJ Barrett name is it the RJ Barrett hive? It might be a little
right.
Now we're about to talk about Obi. The latest trade rumor was 28 Obi, 5 first, 2 unprotected. The Jazz said they're not doing it. They need more. But thoughts on Obi being included in the trade? Do you think that says anything about Randle? I don't think so. I think you can move Randle in a separate. You can move Obi and still move Randle in a separate trade. So I don't think that means that they're picking, that Randle is going to stay. Put it that way. But your thoughts on the Knicks? Open to, putting Obi in the trade. You've heard reports they don't want to put Grimes in the trade. You heard reports they don't want Derrick Rose in the trade. Now, IQ, it seems like, they're happy that if IQ is not in the trade. Your thoughts on them including Obi? Josh, we'll start with you. Staf, the bowling chick, go around.
So I'm going to assume that it's either going to be Obi or RJ. I don't see the Knicks moving Obi and RJ in the same deal. But I think the reason why you talk Obi being moved in this trade is for the similar reasons as RJ, right? First of all, the fit. You having 2 power forwards on a roster just doesn't make sense. That are both capable starters just doesn't make sense. That's the first thing. The second thing is that Randle's contract cannot be moved in this trade because Utah does not want to have a 4-year contract on their hands. They just don't, right? Unless you're talking about someone that's younger that they can potentially build their franchise around. So I think that's what it really comes down to. If the Knicks can't move Randle within the next season or the next season after that, what's the point of keeping Obi? You might as well include him in the trade. Because at some point he's going to have to get paid, right? So you might as well include him in the trade just to try to make this thing happen. So I think that's what it really comes down to. I think Randle's contract is the thing that's really making Obi and RJ expendable in this particular deal.
Okay, Staffer.
The Knicks say that how they really don't care who is in the package. So even if it's Obi, he got to go. They even said the Knicks are even worried of going into the training camp with a Randle and Obi pairing, right? None of them could play the small forward. Both of them, as Josh said, are excellent power forwards, and is not a small ball setting for them because none of them can play the center position. So, it would only make sense to get rid of Obi for his development, because the word is that the Knicks are all in on Julius Randle. They think that he could come back to form of being a second team All-Star NBA. Wow. So they willing to ride with him until I guess 2025 when his contract is open. They can at least let him go and probably try to trade for another star. But if Obi has to go, he has to go. I have no issue with that. It doesn't really matter. So because it's going to be too much of an issue, and you're going to have the fans coming down on Julius and Obi, playing more minutes. And then Tom Thibodeau also said he also wants to give Obi more minutes. So it's going to be too much confusion. So, I agree. We need to get rid of one of those power forwards, and unfortunately, it's going to be Obi.
Okay. Yeah, the bowling chick.
I do have to shout out Rayology. He's cracking me up in these comments here. So that's why I was laughing so hard. They're gonna move both my babies at the same time. That's what we're talking about. Both Cam and RJ, huh? That said, in this particular package, we're talking about Obi being traded. I mean, I love all the kids. I love them all. So it's still gonna be, sad to lose Obi. But it looks like the franchise, as both of you guys have just said, has kind of it seems like they've drawn a line in the sand and they're prioritizing Randle over Obi due to the fit. They really can't play together. So, and then Obi's contract is gonna be up for renewal, so to speak, the following season. So they are kind of at a rock and a hard place between him and even IQ. So tough decisions are going to have to be made one way or the other. Obi's a fan favorite. So it looks like, again, no matter what we trade, a segment of the fan base is going to be unhappy.
Right.
No matter what. Someone will be unhappy. So, but at the end of the day, we're getting Donovan Mitchell. So it would suck to have a hometown kid go, with Obi wanting to be here and all that. But if the franchise is choosing Randle, we have to get with it as fans. And support the team. So
yeah,
I would love for Randle to go in the trade, but if Utah doesn't want him, then what can we really do here?
Right.
I know there's other rumors out, that maybe the Lakers still may be interested. I heard that resurface that they want to get involved in a three-team trade.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it happens. Maybe we get our wish, so to speak, and we still keep Obi. But even with that, we're gonna have a lot of tough decisions here. But I mean, if we're going by what I want, Obi can go if RJ can stay. Yeah.
Of course.
I mean,
I like a good deal.
Before I get to Jarrell,
mm-hmm.
If all of this is true, I'm feeling very comfortable with the front office. Is like what is it going to take for the Knicks as a team to get better, right? That they would include Obi, because that was a concern that I had. Like, you want to hold on to Obi because of family ties or because you believe he can replace, Randle, So
right.
For them to be open to RJ, at least having a conversation, open to Obi, open to whoever tells me that they're doing their homework and they have the Knicks' best interest in mind. And sometimes that's good when you have a lot of people, two people is easy to kind of get sidetracked. When you have so many people, it could be a blessing, and a curse as well. I'm okay with Obi leaving. I don't really see a path forward for him if they keep Randle. I don't see him getting more than 12 to 16 minutes a game, and he has to be, and he's going to get paid after. He's due to get paid the year after. What I will say is, there's no guarantee that Randle won't go in the next trade if a star comes up.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean.
Yeah.
That's the thing when people talk about what are we going to have left. Well, if we went by the trade yesterday, you still have, and even if we add more picks, you still got RJ, Randle, Cam, Grimes, IQ, your 3 protected. If you're going to give up 4 unprotected, I'm not saying relax, fam. I'm not saying do it. This is what you would have left. You would still have your 3 protected. And you could still, if it's an off year, you could still use your draft pick to pick for the other team.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But it'll just be that year though. That year. So let's say they draft someone for another team. They can't trade any more unprotected picks because the other 4.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
It have to be on draft night.
It would have to be. It would have to be on draft night. So it would have to be a trade that happens in that year that the Knicks can trade for somebody else.
Right.
So the point I'm trying to make is there's enough to go around. There's still enough, I believe, the Knicks would have to, trade for another star player. And who's to say Donovan Mitchell can't be a number 1? People are like, oh, he's not a number 1. We're going to need more. We're doing this for him. We're going to need more to get somebody better than him. Who's to say he can't be a number 1? His career is not finished. He's been in the league 5 years.
Still young.
Where was Paul George in 5 years? Where was Embiid? Where was Kevin Garnett? Where was Curry in 5 years? You understand what I'm saying? He's yet to reach his prime. Who's to say he can't become a number one?
Right.
He's not already. Who's to say that? And if that is the case, we put in, some of the fan bases put in so much, RJ could be a number one, but you want to discount Donovan Mitchell, who's had some success in this league. Oh, he can't be a number one.
Yeah, that don't make no sense.
Right. That doesn't make any sense. We've seen more from him, and if that's the case, now you're looking for a number two, and it's easier. It's easier to get that. Anyway, Jarrell, your initial thoughts on the Knicks, including Obi, and somebody said in the chat that the Jazz didn't even ask for Obi.
I saw that.
Let the Knicks offer him. I mean, I didn't hear that report, but your thoughts, Jarrell, on the Knicks, including.
Well, I said I had a little soft spot for RJ, but that's it. Like, everybody else can go. Like, you could put a stamp on Obi's forehead. Too bad, so sad.
Oh no.
You gotta go for Donovan Mitchell. Like, I'm not harping off that. Like, to be honest, when the trade rumors first started, Obi was in them anyway, so I already thought he was gone if Donovan Mitchell was here. So it's just been recently that Obi wasn't in the trade talks. So if he goes, then yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. So hard to say goodbye, just like Jay Book said in the chat, but yeah, he can
go. To yesterday.
You gotta hit the high note, Staf.
Yeah, you gotta go.
There's an overload in the guard position. Yeah, I mean, having IQ in a trade would definitely clear some of that up. But the Knicks have their own. Listen, we don't even know if they have other trades lined up already, pending the Donovan Mitchell trade.
Right.
Can I did see a report recently about Phoenix interest in Julius Randle, which I personally have been talking about for at least the past year or so. I wanted DeAndre Ayton, as a lot of people know.
Yes, you did.
But I think you cannot sleep on that, because Phoenix is now a low tax team, and now Cam Johnson has to get paid next year, right? So are they going to have enough money to be able to support paying Cam Johnson, who's a 6-man off the bench? He's not coming in to take Booker's spot or Mikal Bridges' spot, right? So I think Cam Johnson could be an interesting addition if the Knicks are able to acquire him. I don't know who else is going to be able to go in that trade, but I think don't sleep on Randle to Phoenix. I think that is a really sleeper for me to play that 4 position. I think that puts them right back into the West Finals, or if not in the finals with the pieces they already have.
I would agree with that, but where would Cam Johnson fit for us, though?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's going to happen this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
It might happen next year when Johnson's due to make his contract, probably some sort of signing trade or something like that. Because he's now talking about commanding a max contract. I don't think he's going to get it. I don't think no team is going to be able to give him that. But you're talking the $20 to $25 million range, which is what Randle makes, right? $26 million on average. So I think that might be a possibility next offseason. Rose's contract's going to be expiring. If Fournier is already going to be going this deal, so you don't have to worry about him. So now you're talking, Cam Johnson could be a piece that we can add. Shooter.
Yeah.
Definitely a shooter. But if we have RJ here, and well, he's more proven than Grimes at this point, in his career. But you got to pay him as well.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and RJ Barrett. But listen. Let's segue into Randle, and we'll get back to the other topic, and we'll get right into it. Do you want to see Randle on this team next year with a point guard and see if his game is different? To me, when I think of Randle, there's 2 parts. There's his game and his emotionality, and both of them, can be an issue. But are you willing to? Do you want to see him next year with a point guard to see if it's going to be any different, or are you just so over Randle that you don't want him on the team even if it's for a loss? Jarrell?
Nah, I'm not that much over Randle. I wouldn't mind seeing him, but if he did get traded, I wouldn't be heartbroken either. But yeah, I wouldn't be mad if Randle's on the team. Like I didn't hate him like most of everybody else did. I didn't take the stuff that he did personal. For me, I think he just had personal problems for himself. Obviously, like you said, his emotionality. But when it comes to his game, people don't want to, admit it, but he's still the best player on his team right now. So just because of that, yeah, I would like to see him with Jalen Brunson, see what he can do.
Okay, Staf for bowling chicken. Then I'll get to Staf. We already know. Yeah, we
already know you want him to stay here.
Yeah.
No secret.
Steph, you're so wrong for that.
No secret. You could have went last.
I mean, of course, I want to see the Brunson Randle tandem and to see what it looks like, But one of the things that the Knicks organization said is that they hope Randle could be in a better mental space this year. So I think that's the key thing right there. Once he's in a good mental space and he could control his emotions, and to hell what CAA affiliate in the chat has to say, and everybody else who's booing him and don't like him, I think he can have a good bounce back, and I think he could, do his thing until we get ready to trade him for a bigger superstar. But I would love to see what it looked like, and even with Spider on the team, and see we could be a contender, not a championship, but at least a team that could be in the playoffs every year.
Okay, I forgot who I said was next, but I'm sure somebody remembers. Okay,
bowling kick, you got.
You're so excited for me to go, Josh. I'm gonna keep it real brief. Yes, I'd like to see, but I got a short leash for homie. So, I mean, if he's gonna start acting out in November, so what's that, like 10, 15 games? He can go. But I do think I'm one of those people that's really forgiving, and I'm with a second chance, but we ain't forget what you did last year, bro. Like, we see you. I'm gonna need you to just have your head on straight. But I agree. I mean, game-wise, I'm not worried about Randle. I'm not worried at all. I think his bad shooting was just putrid last year and on a whole nother level, and he let it get to his head. So if he can get his head out of his rear, and he just shows that he cares. I mean, just purely just showing effort, honestly. That's really what I'm looking for. Don't leave your teammates on the damn ground and all that. And they got to pick themselves up after, rough fouls and all that. I mean, it's ridiculous. Celebrate with the team when we win. Stuff like that. Simple stuff. Randle does that, and he can stay on the team. Cool. That's it.
So you don't have issues with his game, and albeit last year was his most inefficient season of his career, I believe. But you don't have questions with his game. You don't have questions with his fit with Brunson and potentially Donovan Mitchell. It's just more about the leadership and being engaged.
Correct. I feel like last year was an outlier. I mean, it was career worst, and aside from like his assists and numbers and his rebounding, those were all the same generally across the board. But his shooting went to another level in the toilet. And I think with a point guard, that's really going to help remedy a lot of that. He's going to get the ball in better position to score. He's going to have to think less. That should result in a more efficient Randle.
Okay. All right.
In my opinion.
Jarrell and then Josh.
I think I already went. Like I went first.
Oh, you did already? Okay.
Yeah.
Josh.
So if we're just talking about Randle with a point guard, I don't think much is going to change as far as his on-court play. Emotions and all that, I'm not really concerned about. I know that's kind of like what we see on TV and like the face of everything like that, but I don't think it affected the locker room as much as people want to at least believe that it did. I think the team still had his back. and all of that stuff. I'm really worried about on the floor. And if you're just talking about adding a point guard to play with Julius Randle, I don't think much will change. I think if you add a bucket getter to play with Julius Randle, I think there's the difference, because now you got someone that you can give the ball to in possessions when the shot clock is going down and saying, go get me a bucket. You don't have to depend on Julius Randle. As far as just a point guard, it's not like Julius Randle runs a lot of pick and roll action anyway. He doesn't really roll to the basket as much. So having a point guard there for me won't really affect anything per se. But I think having a bucket getter on the other side of the floor from Julius Randle that can go score and get buckets whenever he wants can take that pressure off of Julius Randle. Instead of Julius Randle being that guy to score at the end of shot clocks, I think you have that guy on the other side of the floor with him to help make things easier for Julius in that aspect.
And that's why I think he took that friendly contract, so he could bring in a superstar to help him take that pressure off of him. So I definitely agree with that point, Josh. A bucket getter to go alongside with him would change his game differently, and he'll probably be able to score more efficiently too. So I definitely agree with that.
I agree with that, but I think a point guard helps in other areas as well, because I think Julius Randle with the ball in his hand, in my opinion, is not a good decision maker. He turns the ball over a lot. And I mean, I'm not going to say a lot. Comparable with those who handle the ball as much as he does, right? But he makes bad decisions at inopportune times. Right. So I think having a point guard facilitating, and so that it's not on Randle to facilitate the entire offense, I do think that's going to help us. In addition to what you're saying, Josh, having a bucket getter so we don't have to go to him, all the time, but having the ball out of his hands. And where and listen, don't get me wrong, he's going to still bring the ball up at times, but he won't be the main facilitator anymore. The offense, is not going to go through him to get everybody else shots. And I'm hoping he'll be more efficient, because now he could be a traditional power forward. I mean, he's not a traditional power forward because he can bring the ball down the court, but what I mean, he'll have less responsibility. So I'm hoping with less responsibility, he'll be more efficient. And his decision making will improve because he'll be in less decision making opportunities, Queen. So that's what I'm really hoping Brunson brings. Yeah.
Queen, I disagree with you slightly, because I think even with Brunson here, the ball is still going to go to Randle. He's still going to be the main facilitator on his team, even with Brunson there. Right, because think about it, when all of the times when Fournier is open and RJ was open on one side of the floor, it was due to Randle. Teams double teaming Randle, keying in on Randle so that he can get those other people open.
But that's
I think facilitator.
You're right.
Main facilitator, Josh.
I'm okay with that. Brunson is bringing down because the thing about it, the difference I see, Joe, you're right. When the ball gets into Julius Randle's hands, because of the gravity, you're absolutely right. He's going to draw double teams and he's going to have to pass out. But to me, that's just basketball, right? But what I'm saying is there's going to be somebody else making the decision whether he even gets the ball,
That's true.
Or whether we're going to go to RJ this time down, or are we going to go to Donovan Mitchell this time down? Whereas when he was facilitating, it was like, he would just take it, rebound it, dribble it up, do whatever he wants. Having somebody else, means that there's a chance other people will touch the ball and be the initial person. But you're absolutely right. Once it goes to his hand, and he's going to get plenty of touches. And if you don't think he's going to get plenty of touch. Once he touches it, you're absolutely right. It's his ball game at that point to do.
Queen, I think we're saying I think we're saying the same thing. I just think that more of the ball coming out of Randle's hands, I think will come more with Donovan Mitchell instead of Brunson. That's what I'm trying to say. I think having Mitchell there on the other side of the floor to also bring the ball up, I think will do everything that you're talking about, taking the ball, so he doesn't have to make those decisions all the time. I just think about having Brunson there, because Brunson is a secondary ball handler. He's not a primary ball dominant kind of point guard, right? He's not gonna, take you off the dribble, attack the rim. He's off the ball for the most part. But having Mitchell there, and then
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know about that, Josh.
He's a secondary ball handler. He was playing off of Luka. Luka was at number one.
But Josh, this is a different team now. We talking about bringing in Brunson to be the general of this team. So Donovan could play off the ball, not him play off the ball. That doesn't make no sense. And then after you saying Julius is going to be the main facilitator, I don't think so. Because it has to be, as Queen said, it has to be Brunson coming down the ball to be able to make a decision who is going to get the ball next in which position. So I mean,
listen. I would hope it goes that way. I'm just talking about what I've seen and what I know about Jalen Brunson's game. He's always been a secondary ball handler. He's never been ball dominant, so to speak, right? So I would hope that Brunson is going to be that main facilitator to set people up and things of that nature, which naturally a point guard is supposed to do anyway. But I think having Mitchell there gives us more of what we all want rather than just having Brunson there alone, if that makes sense. We all agree. It's just,
it makes sense.
I get what you're saying.
But what I'm saying is, even if we don't get Mitchell, I still think Brunson is going to do that. And I agree with you. He played off of Luka. Luka was the most ball-dominant player in the NBA. But just because he played off of him doesn't mean he can't play on the ball. Because when Luka was out,
he got busy.
You saw that he could play on the ball, and he does get into the lane, So I think there may be another level for Brunson as well. And if Donovan is not here, you bring up a good point. That's a very good question, actually. If Donovan is not here, will Randle be in the Luka role? He's not Luka, we know that. Will he be in that Luka role as, to being the same ball dominant he was, and Brunson playing off of Randle the way he played off of Luka, or is Brunson gonna have the ball in his hands and Randle?
I'm going with that option right there.
But I think what Josh is saying is Randle's gonna be in the same role, Luka role, and Brunson is gonna be in his same role.
But that's the importance. I
hope that's not the case.
But that's the importance of RJ or Mitchell. If RJ takes that next step, we wouldn't even be having this conversation about if Randle's going to do this or Randle's going to do that. This is why it's the importance of RJ to take that next step and to demand the basketball and to set things up and do it that way. Because then if you got Randle on one side of the court and you got RJ, the offense flows much better. But because RJ, for whatever one reason or another, hasn't taken the strides there was sometimes he took the stride. He definitely got better last season doing that. But if he can do that more and step his game up another level, then we're talking about something different. And I think that's where, for me, it's not just about Brunson. Brunson helps, obviously, but I think that other guy on the other side of the floor, that other scorer, that ball-dominant person has to be there, because I think that alone takes the ball out of Randle's hands and helps the point guard facilitate better, because if there's nobody else that wants the basketball, he ain't got no choice but to give it to Randle. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm coming from with it. That's where I'm coming from.
I hear you. If you want to see me depressed, let Randle be, and I'm a Randle supporter.
Me too.
I'm a Randle supporter.
Super sad over here.
Randle in the same he was in last season, and Brunson playing off of him while Randle is bringing the ball. Oh my! Oh,
no, I wouldn't be happy either, and I agree with you, Queen.
I can't.
I wouldn't be happy either. But we got to think about who our coach is. So what Josh is saying really does make sense when you think about who our coach is. It's not about what we want to do. Yeah. I would have took the ball out of his hands last year too, but we don't coach the Knicks.
Whose hands would you have put with Derrick Rose out? I mean, I'm not sure, but this year,
yeah, true.
It has to be Brunson being the primary ball handler. It's going to be out of 50 possessions in the game, Randle might bring up the ball probably 5 times, but he is not going to be the primary ball handler to say, let's set up things. I would be mad too if that is to happen and we have Jalen Brunson.
Same thing about Kemba Walker. We said the same thing about Kemba Walker. And Kemba Walker made a career out of dominating the basketball, getting to the hole. We said the same thing about him. Right. Randle made him look like he just was there.
Sat in the corner. Yep.
Right.
But I think Jalen bring a different respect than Kemba, man. You know what I mean? In my opinion.
Because Brunson is going to be smiling at Randle while he's turning the ball over. you know, or running behind him, clapping his hand because he won. Nah.
Right. That
But
is true.
Josh, you're right. I didn't even think about it. I just assumed Randle's role will change, but I can definitely see.
Yep.
I know
It's
Coach
going
Thibodeau,
to be
right? I
a
know.
long season if
I
Donovan
would say
Mitchell is not
though,
on this team.
I would say in the fourth quarter though, Brunson would maintain the ball at that point because it's time. It's closing time at that point, and I think Brunson would keep the ball. He won't have to demand it. I don't think. I think he'll just look Randle off. In the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game.
Right.
If it's a close game.
Correct.
And plus also depending on the matchup. I'll say depending on the matchup also too.
Right. Shout out to Dwayne Dennis. What's the point of getting Brunson and Spider for Randle to be a primary ball handler? He's a poor decision maker.
Gotta ask Tibbs that.
I agree.
Yeah. Then Tibbs is the problem.
Right. He would be the problem if that happened yet.
Yeah, but
we'll see.
Wow, that was like somebody just sucker punched me. Like,
right. We can,
don't let
I think it's because we talk about players all the time. We don't talk about Tibbs often. And Tibbs was a major problem of our offense too. It wasn't just because we had a point guard. Like Tibbs had his own problems with the X and O's last year. But we really don't talk about him because there's nothing to really say. Like it's his job. Like we can't fire him.
Yeah. No, we did a whole show on
true.
But what I will say then, let's see, how much of it is the personnel. Because when he had a Derrick Rose and Noah, he was doing different things, right? So let's see if it's going to be the same old offense with Brunson and Donovan Mitchell. I don't know if things change with Brunson. Well,
it better.
Yeah.
It will.
It better.
Yeah.
And if Donovan Mitchell is here, then it definitely will. Like that's a completely different story.
Queen, but it's the reason why our offense has been bad the past 3 years. We've been in one of the worst offenses in the NBA, right? There's no secret to the reason why. Our offense has just been terrible, and I think having a bucket getter is the difference maker for me. That's the difference maker. I know having a point guard matters. It's going to matter at the end of games, but it's the reason why I have the Knicks not winning, much more than being over 500 this year. It's because our offense. We need another bucket getter on the floor. I think that takes the pressure off of everybody in the offense. Randle.
I agree.
Mitch,
I agree.
The point guard, I think the point guard will be, setting up people in the better positions if we had that other bucket getter over there. And that's what we're all hoping RJ to become. Right. And I think that's what the dilemma is amongst the family.
No, but Josh, when last did we have a bucket getter?
Carmelo.
When last besides Melo, then besides Ewing, then besides Walt Frazier.
You're going too far back.
I got to.
I'm going back to the
bucket. I'm serious. Those are bucket getters. Am I lying, Steph? Am I lying?
No. But I think
exactly. So we need that particular. We need that star to come in and say, here's the ball. Go get us a bucket. So I agree with Josh all the way. We need Donovan. We need a bucket getter, and let's go get him.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like people say, we're bidding against ourselves because another team, nobody else. It's not about other teams. It's about us and what we need on this team to take the next step. And we need a closer. We need somebody like Josh said. Right now, we need a bucket. Everybody knows we need a bucket, and you can still get it for us. That's the type of player, and that's what the stars do. Those what the number one players do. Everybody knows he's going to get the ball, and he scores or gets to the line anyway. And that's what we need. So it's not, how much we're giving up compared to other teams. How much we're giving up compared to how bad we need a player like this in order to take the next step. Whether it's Donovan or somebody else, it just happens to be Donovan. It just happens to be Donovan right now. Wow. Any thoughts on that, or any thoughts on anything we just?
Queen, I'll end off this segment by saying I think RJ, Donovan Mitchell, or Randle and Donovan Mitchell is better than RJ and Randle.
RJ
and Randle.
Who do you prefer? Who do you think is better? And I'll ask the panelists. Well, and
like
the chat.
Which duo?
Which duo you think is better? Donovan Mitchell and Randle or Donovan Mitchell and RJ?
I'm going to say Donovan Mitchell and Randle. Because, people can, crap on Julius Randle all they want. We know what Julius Randle can give us. He can give us 20 and 10 a night. Easy. You know what I'm saying? Easily. Right? But pair him with someone else that can do that same thing and score on a higher level than him. I think that's great. We're still hoping for RJ Barrett to become that player that we're talking about. We're still hoping for that. In the ideal scenario, if RJ Barrett turns out to be this guy, then it will be RJ and Mitchell, 100%. But as of right now, I'm taking Randle. I'm taking Randle and Donovan.
Well, I'm rolling with you, Josh. People gonna tell me I'm a homer, but I'm rolling with you. That makes more sense to me. I'm playing inside out, a big man, and I have a shooting guard. So I like that combination right there. I don't think the small forward and shooting guard will probably mix because both of them are two dominant ball handlers. So I'm rolling with you, Josh. I'm throwing with Randle and Donovan.
Well, I'm going to obviously say RJ and Donovan. Are you surprised?
Why?
Because I believe in his potential. I believe in RJ's potential, and I know he can improve on what he's done. I mean, he averaged 20 and 6 last year. Yeah, his shooting wasn't great, but again, with the advent of other players that can create their own shots and all that, I expect his efficiency to get better. I expect Donovan's presence on the court to improve RJ, and also just seeing how maybe not another superstar, but how another star does it. Seeing how he prepares for games and things like that. Seeing him close games, maybe that can also help him. Help his mentality as well. Also, I mean, the kid, he's still 22. I know you don't want to hear that, Staffa, but I'm going to say it anyway. I believe in that kid more than I believe in Julius Randle.
I mean, hey, that's your opinion. I can't knock you for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with RJ too, just because of age and trajectory. I think RJ is gonna take a step. I think he's gonna be more efficient, just like the Bowling Chick said. I don't hate Randle. And don't get me wrong, I don't think the decision is an easy one, but I would definitely take RJ.
Come back, Josh.
Yeah.
Josh left.
I didn't go anywhere. I didn't go anywhere. Hold on.
Yeah. You're good, man. I'm just teasing. Go ahead.
Yeah, I like the Donovan Mitchell Randle combo.
Yes.
And that's only because the having Donovan at the wing and having somebody down low. And, Randle, as inefficient as he was last year, still commands a lot of attention, right? And so that's open shots for Donovan. Donovan commands a lot of attention. That's open shots for Randle. And we already know, what Randle can do by himself, even though last year he was very inefficient. I think he's going to be better with Brunson and Donovan Mitchell. RJ, honestly, I need some more shooting at that 3 position. I'm sorry. I need, and everybody's saying, they want RJ to play the 2, the shooting guard shoot. So I need some shooting at the 3 position. So if it was my choice, I would go with Donovan and Randle. But I agree, RJ could get more efficient. But I will say this. It's been 3 years of inefficiency, 41% from the field over his first 3 seasons. So let's see. I think this is a big year for RJ to see if he could become more efficient.
I do agree with that.
It's
a huge year for him.
Yeah,
we got to see it here. I agree with that as well.
Yeah, and I looked at. People compare his early years to Ingram and Butler and who was there was another Tatum. All of those guys were more efficient than RJ Barrett was earlier in their career. So let's see what happens. I think the other thing Rheology was bringing up, Josh, I know you're not concerned about his emotionality. I think I'm gonna break the emotionality down into a few pieces. I'm not concerned over the thumbs down and what he said. Like,
right. I don't care about that either.
You dish it out, you got to be able to take it. You know what I mean? So I don't have any issues with that. I agree with you. The Randle we see on the court is not the Randle that's in the locker room. Those guys speak highly of him. I don't get the sense that they're faking it or, that they feel impressed to say, good things. My issue with, and I don't even care if he picks his stairs. He never did. I don't even think that's a new occurrence, him not picking up his teammates when it would be nice. It would be nice, but we're not getting no points for that.
That is true.
We're not getting no extra points for that. And if he's not doing that, but he's doing other things that they know that he's with them, I'm okay. The issue I'm having with Randle is him imploding at inopportune times in the game when we need him.
Right.
He's focusing on the ref and not getting back down the court. He's on the last play. We trying to get to the next play. Those are the things like, you're upset about something. You're so upset that you can't stop and plug into what we need right now as a team. You all in your head about a call or something. To me, that's major. Because to me, if you continue to do that, then I feel like I can't trust you down the stretch because you're gonna get caught up in something with another player, with an official, and you're gonna forget about us and what we're trying to do. So that's one of the issues I have with Randle. The other issue I have is his lack of effort on both sides of the ball. Like it was really glaring last season, in my opinion. The difference between him on the offensive end and him on the defensive end. And I get it. If you're the number one option, you can't be expected to lock down on the defensive end as well. But there was times where he just looked like he had, gave up. But so I'm just more interested in him being more engaged. Is that a right way to put it? Being more engaged on both ends of the floor. I agree. And not imploding when we need them. That's it. The stuff with the fans, the thumbs down and all of that, that he's not showing good leadership to the rest of it, like quickly is not going to be a good player because he's around Randle and Randle's not showing him the way, like, no, like that type of stuff. I don't.
But Queen, I got to just push back just a little bit, right? Because it's gonna have some plays in the game, and that's with every star too, right? That's gonna get a call, and you're gonna be mad about it.
Oh, absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying? But I understand where you're coming from. Whereas like in the fourth quarter, 2 minutes to go, and we need to get a bucket, and you there arguing with the ref. Right. You understand what I'm saying? I get that point. Right. But it's going to have a time in the game with every superstar, every player. It's going to be a time when the ref blatantly make a stupid call, and you're going to be pissed. Even the fans do it too. So So I'm gonna expect that with certain players also too. Not even Randle also too. So. That's my own little pushback with that.
No, I don't have a problem with him getting on the officials. It's just to the point where you're not focused on what we're trying to do. Yeah.
No, but I get what you're saying. But I definitely get what you're saying.
But that was the reason I kind of picked RJ in the first place, though, over Randle. It's not because of basketball reasons. Totally, it's because of the little intangible stuff like that. Because I'm one of those people. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's gonna mirror what he did last season, but I'm not sure he's going to be anything other than, I don't know, Randle. Like, it's not like he's always been volatile, but it just went over last year. He was always an emotional.
But it had points in time. RJ did bark at the ref too.
It's not the same sandwich though, Stafford. We're not talking about RJ like every once in a while. Like at one point, Randle, it was like almost every game. So that's why it's.
I mean, if you feel like you're getting slapped and beat up all the time, of course you're gonna complain, bro.
It's not about complaining. It's about imploding, and it's
but I understand it's at certain points of the game. I get that, But what I'm saying though, as frustration, somebody keep slapping you behind your back, you gonna get frustrated and say something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, man.
No problem.
You just expect me just to just slap on the one cheek and just turn the next cheek and not say nothing? Come on now, Jarrell, man. I mean, let's be real here. Let's be real here, you know?
I think we agree with you. I think we're just talking about the level. I think we agree, you know. Yeah, of course you're going to get upset. Of course you're going to say something. He's an emotional guy. Right. Sometimes if you take all the emotion away from a player, they're flat. Sometimes.
No, but I'm not just talking about Randle alone. I'm just talking about the whole entire players also too. Because it's not only him. You know what I mean? You got people like Westbrook. Yeah, I mean, you got people like Westbrook. You got people like LeBron gonna get his call anyway. But it just other players that think that they always getting fouled. They're gonna say something. You know, I just don't want to put it on Randle alone. It's just a general thing to me.
So, Staffer, we both Randle supporters. You did not see anything amiss with Randle as far as his emotions concerned. You felt like last year.
No, Queen. I agree with you. I agree with you when you said how in the midst of the game when it's crunch time and a certain particular reason happened, he needs to run down the court. Yes, you need to be focused and just go on to the next play so we can win the game, right? But to say he can't snap at the ref throughout the game, I think is kind of not fair. Because that's what I'm saying. It's going to have points in time where the ref is going to miss calls, and you're going to be frustrated, and it's going to. But the thing about what you're saying is that when it's crunch time, we need you to have a cool head and be calm and collective and bring the game home if you have to. I get that point, okay. But you understand what I'm saying. I can't explain it no better than that.
Yeah. I get it. I just don't want him slapping people around and stuff. That's all I want, Staf.
Then you're gonna get ejected and get flagrant, and that wouldn't help us at all.
Right.
So basically, a few of us are okay with Randle being on the team. Like everybody but the Bulls is okay with him.
No, that's not what I said. I just said I have a short leash for the homie. That's all.
For one, you called him the homie, so I already know he the ops for already. Like, you called him the homie. You call RJ your baby, but he the homie, so I already know you don't want Randle here.
See, and Randle's too close to my age to be the baby, so that's why.
Do you
actually think... Randle's like 27, right?
Right.
28.
Yeah.
He ain't that old.
I'm older than
Do
him.
you think, and I know Rayology and a few other people said this in the chat, that his emotions is impacting his play?
I think so.
Sometimes.
And yes.
Absolutely.
I think that's why. I think that's like remember in the Phoenix game, that's the one that I think of the most, honestly. Like, he was balling out, and he let the stuff with Cam Johnson completely derail him, and then he got kicked out of the game for being a fool, and we basically lost the game.
But if you game keep on slapped in the neck, and the ref ain't calling, I might act a fool too.
He was getting calls back.
And then Alois brought a great point too. Y'all forget the refs told Randle he was too strong to get some of the calls. Remember that.
That was early.
Remember that. So the refs have something personal against him also too. So, I mean, look, call me a Randle hater or I'm a Randle supporter, whatever be the case. But I mean, look, fear is fear. Once you gain that attraction double team, you're going to get beat up and you're going to get calls and you're going to get frustrated.
Staffer,
so you can't blame the young man sometimes for acting out. But in crunch time, I need you to be A1 and bring home the game.
But not throughout the game. Like, you can, there's guys who complain and they're able to get right back in the flow.
Right. because everybody gets emotional.
You get right back in the flow. Yeah. I don't see Julius Randle complaining and getting right back in the flow of the game. That's what I'm saying. He gets emotional. Oh, I hope he can make it back.
It's a wrap already.
Make it back for this game.
Yeah. Well, that's why the front office says he hopes that he's in a better mental space, bringing alongside a bucket getter next to him, as Josh said, so he could take the pressure off of him. And also the defense is better, because you can't tell me Kemba in the lineup last year wasn't frustrating him also too. You understand, with that defense, bone on bone, as AD would say, right? With Kemba. So I mean,
no excuses for Randle. Like, I'm a Randle support. Everything is Listen, you got to be able to deal with frustration. You're the number one player on the team, so he is. You have to be. It's not that you're not going to get frustrated, but you have to be able to function frustrated. Oh, he's frustrated with Kemba, so now he can't play. He's frustrated with the ref, so now his thing is. You can be frustrated, but you still have to perform.
Right. I'll say that every player gets frustrated. It's what you do with that frustration after the fact. Everybody gets frustrated.
Yeah.
But Queen, you can't tell me you wasn't frustrated with Kemba defense last year and you wasn't even on the court.
But Randle's defense wasn't that much better.
I ain't slapped no pillows off my couch, though. I was frustrated. Like, I was mad as hell, but I ain't go throwing around drinks and stuff. Nah, man. Like,
can't fight back,
it's not like his defense was 100%, and then you look and be like, "Yo, man, you missed the rotation." It's not like he was flying around himself, you know.
True that. Facts. I'm not even going front. That's true. Right. That's true.
Yeah. But anyway, the reason we brought up Randle, because before the trade rumors, we were doing a deep dive because it was the off season, right? We did Cam, then we did RJ. Today we were supposed to do Randle, but then the rumors came up, and so we kind of pushed it to the back of the show. I think somebody in the chat was like, "Why are we talking about Randle? He's not in the news." That's why we're talking about.
We were supposed to talk about Randle.
We were supposed to talk about Randle today. Listen, I'm hoping, Randle looks slim. I'm hoping he doesn't lose his power, being, as thin as he is. And I'm really hoping for him to have a bounce back season, because the fact of the matter is, when Randle is right, they're a better team. He's good.
When Randle is right, he's our best player. And it's not even close, to be honest.
It's true.
Yeah. It doesn't equal wins, but that's not his fault. You could say the same thing about RJ Barrett's season. It didn't equal wins. RJ is the number one now, but we still won 37. Oh, well, he only 22. He have more time. We can't say that his stats don't equal wins, but, Randle's stats don't equal wins. I mean, come on, let's
it's the double standard that is RJ Barrett. I've said this on numerous occasions. RJ Barrett can go outside of Madison Square Garden, poop on the corner of 34th and 8th Avenue, and somebody will come up and wipe it up for him and clean it up and make it look all good. If it was Randle, he'll be in jail.
RJ would clean it up himself. Don't even try it. RJ would leave it there.
Right.
He would come back for it.
All NBA season. Oh, that's no fans was in the stands. That's why he shot that well. You look at RJ's numbers.
The same thing.
He shot
70. Same thing with no fans in the stands.
He shot 40. That was the same season when nobody was in the stands. You know what I mean?
But here's the hook, though. Like the Belichick say, the fans will say that RJ wouldn't do that in the first place, Josh.
What?
That's the difference.
That's the difference.
Yeah, right.
He ain't gonna poop outside of MSG. Come on.
That's beneath RJ. Know what I'm saying?
He was raised better.
The bowling chick and a particular person from Far Rockaway would go quick and wipe that up.
For RJ. That's
very
quick. Said that man was raised better.
He was raised better. You could tell.
Don't do that.
Josh. My dad wouldn't let that happen.
Oh, that's not what I want to say. Go ahead,
Josh, you hear me, right?
Yep.
The person from Far Rockaway and Bowling Chick will go to the 8th Avenue and wipe that up real quick. Real quick.
I live in Virginia, dear. I'm not going all the way up there.
Listen,
I
I
That's a long way to clean up the poop.
I will call
listen.
RJ and tell him to come get
I mean,
me.
I just think it's a clear and obvious double standard. The fans have their favorites, and I've been saying this since day one. They have their favorites. RJ is a fan favorite. That's why it's not about, to me. It's not even about like if the Knicks do well or not. They just want to see RJ Barrett here on the team. The team can lose, and people just want to, they don't care. So that's why I come down on the fan base as much as I do, because it's double standard. Sometimes they go overboard. They engage in hyperbole, and nothing is ever fair. Nothing's fair when it comes to the fan base. So
how about, to be honest, Ala Wise did have a good point in the chat. Like, RJ had an interaction with a fan last year too, and nobody said anything about it.
Yeah, they cheered him on. Yeah, RJ. Yeah, you tell them. Yeah,
all over Twitter. Nobody cared. It was pretty much the same thing Randle did, but it wasn't during the game. That was the only difference. But nobody cared.
Oh,
wow!
I missed that. I missed that. I can't speak to that.
Of course you did.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course you did.
I will Google it after the show.
Yeah, RJ.
And my people will reach out to RJ's people. But no, but I don't think Knicks, maybe not every Knicks fan, but I don't think Knicks fans want to lose just at the advent that RJ gets better. I disagree with that assertion.
Listen,
that's really general.
I beg to differ.
Yeah, some people.
I'm not saying that we want to lose, but I
wanted to win.
Some fans would be happy if we never win a championship,
mm-hmm.
but we got homegrown talent on the roster that you're able to watch grow season after season. Oh, look at RJ! Remember when he started? Look at him now. And we're losing, or maybe we're losing in the first round of the playoffs every year, but it's competitive. You can come home, kick back, watch a competitive game, watch your favorite players. The Chia Pet philosophy is, how I call it. Some fans would be very happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that will wear off after a while with the Knicks fan base. I feel like the first year that will wear off.
It hasn't
at the end of the day,
we
haven't,
years.
so to speak. Well, this is the first time we've really seriously grown our talent, right? So we can't say that like 3 years ago. We're talking about Dennis Smith Jr. and Frank Ntilikina. I mean, they had hives and whatnot, but I mean, there were still plenty of us that weren't impressed with those guys, or were disappointed that we were still losing. Knicks fans say the Knicks suck all the time. I think I understand what you guys are saying. I think that's very hyperbolic to say we're okay with just
for Kevin Knox to have a hive. Like Kevin Knox had a hive. So if Kevin Knox had a hive, that means this fan base is crazy. Like, of all people, like for Kevin Knox to have a hive, Frank Ntilikina to have a hive, like Beyonce got a hive. Like, we give a hive to everybody. Everybody got a hive.
Very different. Yeah. Well, true. I'm sure Ferran Hunt has a hive right now.
Yes, I'm pretty sure he does.
They
call it hunters or something. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they do.
All right. Before we get out of here, the last one that we kind of skipped over to get to Randle is, I just can't imagine this is true. Tibbs preferring RJ to be included in a trade over Grimes again, unless this is a contract issue. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I didn't believe that article anyway. I think that was false to me.
I did.
You did?
Yeah, and let me address this real quick. Queen, I gotta get out of here after this, so I'll just be real brief. But I believe this. Like I said, to start off the show, there's the Knicks have this by committee approach, so everyone does not have the same opinion, right? Specifically when it comes to Tibbs, I think he liked Quentin Grimes from the outset. He wanted to give him tough love in the beginning, but now he's a constant member of the rotation. I think he plays defense better than RJ Barrett. I think he shoots better than RJ Barrett, and he's just a dog. He's just a dog on the floor. So it wouldn't surprise me if Tibbs likes Quentin Grimes better than RJ Barrett and would rather keep Grimes instead of keeping Barrett. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Tibbs wasn't here when RJ was drafted, right? Tibbs was here when Grimes was drafted.
Really? Maybe
right.
Maybe what's his name?
Perry.
Scott Perry.
Right. Right. So it would not surprise me if that report is true. And just because something doesn't happen as far as the trade that people think is going to happen does not happen doesn't mean that front office and Tibbs aren't talking about it. Like there aren't camps or whatever within the organization that are talking about making certain decisions, but they come to make a different decision later on, right? So I just think that there is some truth to that report. Or I don't believe it's fake. I'll just put it to you that way. I don't believe it's fake. It's out of thin air. I think there's some people within the Knicks,
though, right? Grimes is a 2.
Right, but then
real quick, Staf, I don't think that the report itself is fake. I think regardless of position, you can want to include someone in the trade and not include someone else, right? Regardless of whether they play different positions or not, because one player might be a favorite of the coach rather than the other one. That's natural. It happens.
So he would rather keep the backup 2 instead of the starting 3?
It has to be because of money. It would have.
Yeah, it'll have to be money. I don't think it has to do it with players.
Well, I don't think Tibbs is concerned about money. He mentioned specifically Tibbs.
Right.
Yeah, that's true too. You're right.
Yeah.
That's tough.
I guess
Tibbs still got eyes. I don't understand why he would think that.
I mean, people can disagree with him, but I'm not going to say that it's fake and the report doesn't exist. I think the report exists, and I think it's real. It's coming from somewhere. But I don't think that it's fake, and I don't think it's a contract issue or anything like that because Tibbs doesn't deal with contracts.
But then he came back and rebuttal and did say he would like to see RJ Brunson together, right? He did. I think they did have a report come back and say he did say that.
Yeah.
But if we were to have a Brunson, Donovan, and Grimes, that lineup right there wouldn't, because first of all, Grimes is too small. He's 6'4". So to say he will rather trade RJ, or rather have Grimes than RJ, I can't believe that, because that to bring Grimes into the lineup at the 3, the 3s in the league will eat him alive.
Maybe
and
not.
Plus with that. So what you put in what's his name? Cam, who we don't even know what he has yet at the 3. Is that what we're doing?
Again, I'm not saying you have to agree with the assessment. I'm just saying I don't necessarily believe that it's a fake report or that the conversation is not being made. You can disagree, we can agree or disagree with whatever the front office or Tibbs is doing or whatever, but I'm just talking about them having that conversation because this stuff exists out there. They're in the back rooms having this conversation right now. Like, the fan base can love RJ Barrett.
Right.
But like I tell somebody on Twitter today, the entire league doesn't. A lot of general managers don't. And obviously, people within the Knicks organization don't love him as much as the fans do. And I think as fans, sometimes we get caught up in saying, well, mine. This is what I was telling Stephen Sim a long time ago. Mine, the organization is mine. I'm doing this. I'm running it. But the fans really don't have any input on this. They really don't.
And plus, most of us think Tibbs kind of senile anyway, so I can understand why this happened.
Right.
Like, I can understand the conversation. Like, we didn't really hold Tibbs in the high regard after this season anyway. At least a lot of us didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be surprised that this happened. I just disagree with him.
Right.
I gotta go, y'all. I gotta go.
Right,
Queen,
Josh.
thank you for having me on. Staff for Bowling, Kid Jarrell.
Salute,
Always a pleasure
my
being
G.
on. And we'll see where this goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Have a good one, Josh.
All right.
Too. Thanks.
Peace. Yeah, I mean, listen, he may like him, but maybe not even to start. Maybe he keep him on the bench behind, Donovan Mitchell, and then start somebody else after 3.
Oh.
And that's the thing. Who is going to be that 3? If he's not a big believer in Cam from the first jump, are we bringing in somebody off of a trade? Are we signing somebody probably of a mid-level exception?
It would have to be, yeah. To be honest, it would have to be. If he doesn't have any faith in Cam, there is no one else that could play the 3 for us.
And that's disappointing.
So
That's
the
route we have to take.
That's what I'm saying. Even though if it might be true, that would make no sense to me, in my point of view.
Yeah, but if Tibbs come out of here this season not having no faith in RJ and Cam, they gonna run him out of here. I'm Tell you that right now.
I don't necessarily think he doesn't have faith in RJ. He likes RJ.
Okay.
I think he genuinely likes RJ. But to get a superstar in here, a legitimate superstar, he would give up RJ. Yes, why not? It's business.
That's true.
I hear you, Sherman, but still, even if he's 6'5", that's still kind of short for the.
Obi ain't 6'7" without shoes, yo.
And a lot of the wings in this league are pretty big. They're 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah, 6'5". Even if he's 6'5", that's still kind of small.
It's still short.
It would eat him up.
What's his wingspan?
It's not even that big either.
Average.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it shorter than Donovan?
Yes.
Like
Donovan Mitchell got long.
6'10".
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, it's definitely shorter than Donovan.
Well, that's alarming. I like his effort on the defensive end, but I think he would get eaten up a bit.
I said that's alarming.
It's how I feel. The Liberty right now are alarming too. So I just.
What's the score?
Did they win?
They're not winning now. No.
Oh.
They just The last thing I saw was Candace Parker had an and one, so that bothered me. And it went to timeout because of that last play. So I'll let you know what the score is when it comes off the timeout.
I actually had it on the screen, and I turned it because I had to focus on this. Like I was paying attention to the game too much.
I promise.
Because this elimination game, they're playing with Chicago, so you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I want to, at least support a little bit by watching.
Yeah, shout out to the chat. I forgot the game was on, so I just.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to the chat. We got 162. This might be a record for us, so I appreciate y'all rocking with us.
Salute.
And just kind of being in here. I was late, and we already had some people in here, so I definitely appreciate you, Pudge Nice,
Word.
B Willis, Ed Winning P. I hope I got that right. D Public Enemy #1, always rocking with us. Greg,
B Willis.
Who was that?
B Willis.
B Willis. Yeah, you guys can shout some people out too if you want. Ray Rivera.
Jay Boogie was in here earlier. Yeah. David L.
I saw Jay Boogie. Yeah.
Jay Boogie. JJ always rocking with us. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
#1.
Rayology. I got shout
Rayology. Yeah. David L.
OCB Shaggy. Big up.
Yeah.
Pudge in here all the time.
Paris Doug,
Harlem Girl earlier.
Harlem Girl, appreciate you. They was getting on Harlem Girl earlier.
They were.
Keyshawn. Danny Lee.
Girl alone. She believes, just like the bowling chick, that RJ is going to be the #1 player in this league in a few years.
I ain't say that. Don't say that for me.
One. Big up.
I would love that.
Eddie C, appreciate you. Eddie C, you got to.
Oh my God,
appreciate you.
I'm gonna turn the game back off.
Yeah,
Eddie C, I'm trying to come to Costa Rica, man.
Right, C-Mac, CAA affiliate. Appreciate you trolling when it comes to Randle, but we still appreciate you tuning in.
Rebuild
NYK.
Yeah, Rebuild NYK. He commented a lot.
Yeah, absolutely appreciate that. Thomas Banks. I think I said Sherman, but if not Sherman.
Yeah, Sherman, definitely.
RJ Barrett is Randle Jr. Lord have mercy, Barrett.
Anthony Grant, big up.
Stressing me out.
Somebody said he was RJ Jr. I missed that.
But a lot of people do feel like they're the same player because neither one of them are great shooters. So
in Jesus' name, my boy will be a great shooter.
Because they're left-handed, inefficient, and dark-skinned, that do not mean they're the same person. They're two completely different type of players to me.
I feel like I jinxed the game by putting it on. I'm gonna turn it off, y'all.
See, that's why I turned it off, man. You messed it up. It's your fault.
Yeah, and I'm
taping. I brought that New York energy into the game. All of a sudden, Sabrina can't score. It's all right.
So Steph, how your Giants looking, man? How your Giants looking in the preseason?
We can't do that
on the Bengals game. So I don't even know.
You see
I know we had another injury though. Yeah, I got on my Giants shirt too.
We got another injury.
Got it on, though.
You wore a Giants shirt? I didn't know we could wear our teams today. I wore a Knicks shirt.
You can wear whatever.
Look at my Knicks hoodie I brought in today. I was trying to be in character.
Just know when you wear that Jets gear though, I'm a tilt the picture down so just your head.
Right. That's it. Ain't nobody trying to see. Hey, yo, Staf.
Look, we play this weekend. We play this weekend, so you know we'll
Yep,
talk.
and
No,
this
we
is
was
the,
on Monday night. We was on Monday
you're not
night
gonna be
last
on.
night.
Yes, we were.
So you know,
Right.
we came back against the
know.
Falcons. You know, good win last night.
Staf of the Giants 2-0. I
Sorry,
just want you
Steph.
to know that Giants 2-0.
We
It
are
don't
as
mean
well.
nothing.
New York is 2-0 as a whole.
Yeah, we still got our quarterback though. Let's just move on.
Yeah, that's true.
And ours will be back with
Whatever. Whatever, Jarrell.
Let's see who plays more.
Hey, yo, how your starting quarterback your starting quarterback got hurt getting hit by grass?
Oh wow!
And how many games did your quarterback play last year? Try me.
More than yours.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, what? A little bit.
All right.
You look that up. Go ahead, T.
Look. She about to see. She done start looking up the stats now. You don't got
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. She started typing. I'm sorry.
This is what happens behind the scenes when we
Right.
It becomes Jet Giant.
Word up.
Anyway, any last words on Obi being included in the trade? Whether Randle should be on the team next year? RJ being included in the trade? Anything?
For me,
you guys didn't get in that you want to get in before we close this out?
Nah, for me, obviously Obi can go. I would like RJ to stay just because of his potential. Randle, hopefully he stays because he is a big piece of this team going forward. At least they acting like he is. And salute to the chat, man. We had a good night.
Yeah, definitely.
Look, I trust Leon Rose, Worldwide West, and the whole organization to lead this team and put a better product in Madison's Garden for us this summer. So whatever they do, I'm rolling with it. For the past 2 years, they've been doing a very good job. So I got to give them kudos. And one more thing I got to say, Mr. Stephen A. Smith, you're not a true Knicks fan. Please leave us alone. Don't call our name. You don't rock with us. You don't do nothing with us. All you do is just
out your mouth.
All you just do is talk slander about us, and then all of a sudden you want Donovan to come here, and you know what I mean. You want us to do this, but you wouldn't come to a Knicks game. You're talking about you're not coming into the Madison Square Garden. Well, guess what? Nobody cares if you come or not. Okay. We don't rate you as a Knicks fan, and we don't want you as a Knicks fan. Okay, so we don't care about your opinion. The real Knicks fans are on NBK, Dope Soul. Shout out to my man Freezy and all of the other Knicks content creators who put in the work to give us true content. So salute to them, and Stephen A. Just leave us alone, bro. Leave us alone.
I didn't know Stephen A. was gonna get all these bars tonight. That's what's up.
Did he say something recently?
Yeah, today.
Oh, did he? I thought you just got that off just cause.
Oh, he said something today. Okay.
Yeah, he said something today. Yeah. Wow. Again,
I wouldn't put it past him.
And he also said something stupid last week as well. And then the whole thing of the Knicks don't deserve Donovan Mitchell. Like,
yeah.
Okay, Stephen A.
He said that first, obviously. Yeah, I remember that.
He was dead to me before then, but you know.
Carl Anthony Towns would be a Knick to join spot. See, that's tough, man.
Nah, they building their team right
now. Now that they got Rudy Gobert, no way they got Rudy Gobert for all that just to trade away Cat. No, I can't see that. That's malpractice to me. That don't make any sense. Not saying that he wouldn't want out, but just for them to do that just cause, that'd be crazy for them, to me. Not after all that. They gave up 5 picks for Rudy just to be with Cat. So
right.
Nah.
And just because they made a mistake don't mean the Knicks have to, make a mistake either. That being said, Knicks,
don't
overplay your hand. Don't
right.
Overplay your hand. You know?
Right.
Yeah. Any last words? The bowling chick. We talked about Obi today. We talked about RJ today. Are you all right, Randle? You're kind of young, so I guess we don't have to worry about
it. Yo, okay. You hurt me a little bit starting the show off. mentioning RJ
right.
being potentially. I was
Started off too.
I mean, I just sauntered on in. I didn't think that's what I would be hit with, but at the end of the day, let's go Knicks. I want to win. I am one of the people in the fan base that wants W's. However, I would like them to include RJ Barrett. I can say that. But if it happens, it happens. I would love for RJ to be here when things turn the right way.
I would too.
I'm gonna say that.
I think
too.
for me,
I would
the
love
only
to keep
issue-
all the kids if we could, but it is what it is. Go ahead, Quay.
Nah. I mean,
He's like, Obi's where I draw the line. I got you.
you're paying them to play 12 to 15, 16 minutes a game.
You're right, though.
You know, that's the only issue with it. I don't see a path, a path forward. You know, listen, if you want to say at some point in the future, Obi can develop and push Randle out the door, okay. I mean, I'm not going to argue. That's definitely possible. I don't see IQ ever getting good enough to push Donovan out the door if he's here. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I'm with you.
So what's the path forward for them to get time? I don't see it, but I appreciate everybody for rocking with us today. I got that early flight, so I can't go to 12 tonight, and then we'll get off and we'll go to 1:30 in the morning behind the scenes.
Right. As soon as you stop the show, we getting off, Staf. I know you got to go.
I can't do that tonight. Again, we won't be on next week Tuesday because I don't get back until Wednesday night, but we will be on Thursday, 9:00. I think if you guys can make it, that would be great. Now, Knicks, I don't ask for much. I know we can get a championship. And if you could please make this trade Wednesday night or Thursday morning, I would be happy.
Word.
I don't want to be on a glacier somewhere and I don't get the news.
That's what's up.
On the cruise ship, the internet is spotty. Even if you buy the premium plan, it's still spotty. And then I can't get any news about what's going on with the Knicks.
I feel that. But you know what?
Can somebody please text me?
Yeah,
Maybe at
definitely.
some point I'll get like a little connection and I'll be able to see the text that we got Donovan Mitchell.
Definitely.
I will tweet you. I will DM you, and I will make sure you're aware. You'll be the first person I think about on that glacier. Like, we got Donovan. Let me hit up Queen.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. But anyway, we are out of here. I appreciate y'all rocking with us.
Peace,
thank you
love, respect.
For the traveling mercies, Keith Turner and everyone else.
Yes.
Safe trip, Rayology. I appreciate you. We will never agree about Randle, but I appreciate you. And we are out of here.